Nobody's knocking on your door and begging you to write an original screenplay. Nobody's knocking on your door and begging you to switch tracks and break the Greek marathon record. These things that come to us and these desires or these like messages that we get, I think they come from somewhere else. And I think that if we don't slow down and tune in and allow them to come to us, they don't come to us.
We live in a complex and ever-changing world, a place that is maybe harder than ever to successfully navigate. The answer is surely to be brave, but it's also to seek and be open to guidance. Mentors are the one consistent through line in the lives of all accomplished people, myself included. So welcome to Mentor Buffet, a feast for those, like me, curious about who helped the most successful among us succeed. Jay Duplass is a filmmaker who's been prolific over the past 20 years between the television and films he's written and directed and the ones he's produced. My favorite one is Transparent, which is the show that really changed my mind about what television is. And he has a new movie, Baltimoreans, that I can't wait to see. Jay is an actual mentor of mine and has been for a long time. We talked about carving out the space to really hear what's calling you. And I guess that means sort of learning how to mentor yourself. And we also talked about Jay as a mentor to other people. He's helped so many people, and I know he's going to help you today. Here's my episode with Jay Duplass. I used to think that I needed to be accepted into a creative world here and welcomed into a sorority or a fraternity or a secret society.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know anyone. I really didn't know a single person in my town. And so I was nervous about was I meant to just be accepted into one of these worlds? And then I realized that you actually, the best thing is to build it by letting it come to you more naturally.
Yeah.
But that isn't something that someone exactly told me. It was something that I'm slowly figuring out, that you form it by not trying too hard.
Right. Yeah, you let it come to you. I think that's right.
Is that how you're...
Because you let your work lead first, I think is the important thing. Because otherwise, I don't know. A friend of mine said something super funny about networking. I think this was maybe... it was going to film festivals and worried about whether I'd be cool or not and how it was all going to play out and all that stuff. And he said, when you're hanging out at a party and enjoying yourself and just having a conversation with someone, you're networking. He's like, when you think you're networking, you're actually being a douchebag. Wow. So it's if you're trying to network, you're probably rubbing somebody wrong. But if you're just enjoying yourself and just being present, and in our case, talking about movies or whatever, or talking about running or whatever it is, it's that's actually networking. We're connecting. We're talking about what we like. Mm-hmm. I might be hearing you talk about movies and you may say something like, yeah, I really want to do this. I really want to try action or something like that. And then in the back of my mind, I'll be like, oh, Alexi wants to do action. Maybe if I ever have a character, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Those things kind of come in and they come from this really authentic place, as opposed to somebody making somebody feel like they're being
targeted.
Yeah, exactly.
An arrow.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Okay. As opposed to the other way, it's just oh yeah, cool. I can see you flying in the air and kicking somebody. No problem.
Yeah. It's a more concave environment, where you're willing to receive, whereas networking in the arrow
is hunting.
It's convex. It's you don't really want to let anyone in. You want to get it, whatever.
You're trying to affect them in your way, and you're not, it's not an open system.
And it's not really curious, actually.
Yeah.
Because you have a goal. So there's no room for...
And when you're doing this, there might be a cool little animal that you could be petting and playing with over here, but you're all fixated on trying to shoot that thing over there. You're going to miss out on all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're both cross-country runner kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder if there's an element of like growing up with goals that we have to kind of like abandon a little bit to have that spirit,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know how it was for you, but I definitely like track season was like, okay, I'll keep going in this circle. I'll do it, but like I can't wait to get to the open field,
Me too. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get into the woods and
Yeah.
like trip over
And
sticks
trip
and
over
you know.
shit. And the track people were the opposite. They were just like, yeah, I can do this in control. And the fall for track people was always just like, how many times am I going to fall down? I don't want to fall down anymore, you know?
Yeah. We're going to get into your mentors, but I feel like that's the thing that kids don't realize. If they're afraid to try something that they think they might fail at, what they don't realize is that the opportunity in trying something that you may not be good at or you may not like right away, the opportunity is earned confidence.
It is. And earn knowledge about yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you may be like, wow. I mean, sometimes, I mean, we see this all the time in filmmaking is like people think they want to be a director.
Right.
And then they direct and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. I mean, it's my nightmare. I love it. Sometimes nightmares are fun.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
yeah.
like, even when people ask me, like, was it so fun making that movie? No, it wasn't fun. It was torture. Was it fulfilling? Yes, it was the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Will I do it again? In a second, you know?
Yes.
I mean, of course you have fun at times, but like, you know, the activity of directing a film, especially an independent film, is not a particularly fun activity. You're kind of at war in a weird way, you know? You're at war with yourself. You're at war with like your original ideas of what that thing was going to be. And so you're constantly struggling and constantly being forced to adapt and to change. And that's painful, you know, but you know, it is fulfilling, you know?
It feels like you could have just also been talking about long distance running.
Yeah.
It's not that different.
Yeah, no,
you know?
yeah. Training and running and being a part of any sport is like constantly getting schooled.
Yeah.
Constantly getting told that your ideas about your body or competing or your mind or whatever are not what you thought they were. And the best thing you can do is just like accept the lessons and listen and be like, okay, this is where my body is. I don't like it, but that's got nothing to do with it. This is what it's capable of right now. This is how I can love it. This is how I can train it. This is how I can rest it. It's a weird process, these like large scale activities that we're all engaging in, you know, in terms of like how to feel good about it and how to feel like we're progressing in a way that feels like progress, but we're not like destroying ourselves at the same time. All that stuff is so wild.
Yeah. The conflict you're talking about, the one that that happens over and over again when you just described running or sports and like directing, it was almost like, I was like, what is it? What are you facing? And I was like, oh, you're facing the truth.
That's right.
Over and over again. Like you're facing the truth.
Yes.
And then you, as the director or the athlete, you make the decision. You make the next decision.
Yes.
Based on this truth, which reveals itself only by movement and making the next decision.
Yeah.
It's like this maze that you're and it's public. People can see it.
They're watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, obviously you're very good with words or a writer, but you're very good at describing things in a way where I imagine you in like a little scenario going through it.
It's me on the street corner looking at a monitor being like, this is not unfolding the way that I thought it was going to unfold.
Yeah.
Is this okay? Is it good even? How can I make it good? How can I start to turn this towards something that's maybe even better than I originally thought, you know, and like the constant adjustments around what you want, what's happening in life. And kind of like you said, which is like, there's the truth and then there's your desire and you're just trying to like make peace and you're trying to like find like a happy medium, you know, because you want to impose your will. We're human beings on the earth just trying to do what we want to do, but we also have to deal with everyone else and their truth and what the universe wants. And somewhere in the middle, there's some kind of sweet spot, I think, that we're trying to find. I think that's what we're doing with everything that we're doing, with our relationships, with our jobs, with our art, with our sports, whatever we're doing.
Yeah, and accepting that negotiation or that, I don't even know if you should call it a compromise, because that may actually be the best thing.
Yeah.
So I think calling it a compromise is almost
It's
selling
like a
it short.
collaboration,
The
basically.
collaboration, if we can accept that that's normal or even optimal,
Yeah.
to combine your idea of something with reality and the truth and then collaborate,
Love it.
then we wouldn't feel so offended by its
Yeah.
frequency, right?
Yeah.
Showing up in our life.
Yes.
And also, we might figure out how to carve out space for like how to give space to the collaboration, because it is really hard in those moments to give space to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it enough to create space for it.
Yeah.
So it's something that we actually kind of have to currently protect for ourselves. No one really
Yeah.
gives it to you.
Yeah, nobody's saying, hey, let's make some space over here for this thing that's about to come into your life.
Yeah. It feels such an esoteric conversation to even have, but I know you understand that space, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because it happens all the time in like creative arts and sports.
Yeah.
But it also is just life. It's just like we're not robots and we live in a real world. So we're always negotiating and collaborating. I guess collaborating. Calling it collaboration over negotiating is so much more positive.
I just collaborated with some bed bugs at my house last week. It was quite a collaboration. Let me tell you about it.
It's good. It's good. Okay, so let's get into your mentor that you were starting to tell me about that came to mind.
So yeah, I've never had a formal mentor, but I've definitely had mentor experiences and mentor moments. My first mentor who truly changed the course of my life, and this is just like a small story, but I was a psychology student at the University of Texas at Austin in the early 90s. That's where I went to college. And, I always loved movies, but as an artist, I was always a musician. I grew up in New Orleans. And then when I went to college in Austin, Texas, Rick Linklater and Robert Rodriguez were making movies for $20,000. And I was like, oh my God, you can make a movie for $20,000. I didn't have $20,000, but I was like, that's an amount of money I could get my brain around. And so as I was like getting my psychology degree, I was also dabbling in film studies, and just making little movies on the side and having the time of my life, and I was, a very studious person. I was at the top of my class in my psychology class. I had a perfect grade point average. And the woman who I was doing, you always had to like put hours in and do like psychological studies. You basically run studies for graduate students. And my graduate student was this woman named Camille Buckner. And I ran a lot of her studies and, was like helping her out wherever I could. So when I was about to graduate from college, I can remember exactly where we were. We were walking up the quad at the University of Texas. It was called like the West Lawn or something like that. And we were saying goodbye, and she stopped me and she said, "Hey, listen, I know that you love psychology and you are an excellent student. You're going to go wherever you want to go. You can go to Harvard, you can go to Yale, you can go anywhere you want for grad school." And she was one of the first people that was on to this. This is like mid-90s. She said, academia isn't what it used to be. She was like, you're going to come out of grad school and you're going to get a job wherever you can get a job. No shade to Nebraska, but if Nebraska takes you, that's where you're going to go. Because there's going to be like one or two jobs when you graduate, even from Harvard, because it was sort of the beginning of the end of academic expansion. And she said, I see your eyes light up when you talk about filmmaking. And she said, I know that that's the biggest long shot in the world, but, academia is not the sure shot that it used to be. And what she was saying without really saying it out loud is like, I know you actually love film more, And she said, I think you should think about it. I think you should really think about it. And so we hugged, I said goodbye, and I walked straight over to the bursar's office. I don't know what a bursar is to this day, but it was the place where I had to go to figure out if they would extend my scholarship for a 5th year of study. So I went in and I just said, "Hey, I'd like to come back to school for another year. Could I have a 5th year scholarship?" In a week, they called me and they said, "We'll extend your scholarship." I went back to school for a year. I only did film, and it's the biggest thing that's ever changed my life. And it was just because she knew me, she loved me, she cared for me, and she saw me and what I was really wanting to do. And I only came to terms with that, honestly, about 10 years ago. And I was on a film tour. I couldn't remember her name. Like, I had to go through research to remember what her name was, because I was realizing, oh my God, this person really changed my life. And what's wild is I finally figured out who she was and where she was. And she was in Maryland. She was a professor in Maryland. And she was a social psychology professor of gender studies. And I got in touch with her and I was like, "I don't know if you remember me." And she said, "Of course I remember you, Jay. And also, I'm a huge fan, and we teach in gender studies. She taught the TV show Transparent, which I was currently starring in at the time. And so when I went on my next film tour and we came through DC, I got to like have dinner with her, and so now we're back in touch. And but yeah, I mean, she totally changed the course of my life. I would not be a filmmaker if she hadn't said right then and there, "You should do this."
Wow. That's it made me cry, and it also made me feel like this feeling of like, I don't know what the word is, but it was something like sad or scared if it didn't happen.
I feel it all the time.
I feel it so intensely right now because I really like
the sliding doors of that reality.
It's so intense, the impact that someone can have or not have.
I know.
By chance.
I know.
It's so intense to me. I don't know, because I know you maybe, and you would be amazing I think you would expand in any field that you are in, but the expansion is both about your impact in the world and also your life that you want to have.
My own life. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are doing amazing things in the world, and it still might not be their biggest life.
Might be working for them. I mean, here's a wild thing about it too, is like, we've talked about this, but like I went to like very strict Catholic schools and I went to Jesuit school for high school. And I was a professional student since I was in 5th grade, basically. And, I treated my undergrad like grad school, essentially. And, as evidenced by the fact I was working with like a top level professor and helping her run her studies in ways that other undergraduates were not doing, And what I also realized is like, after that 5th year of college, I was so burned out on school. Like, I was not in any position to be starting a PhD at Harvard or Yale. That was not where I was. I was cooked. I was done. And conversely, I was like I had so much energy and charge and potential for just making creative things, because I just felt like my brain hurt. My brain had been overutilized and over-examining, and especially when you're in, because I wasn't just in like psychology therapy PhD. I was going to be going into like heavy research, and I was just because you're good at it doesn't mean you're supposed to be doing it.
Yeah. And doesn't mean that, like, we invented like the fields of study and the siloed nature of our world. Like it also doesn't mean that you're not doing some, like, if the aliens were to like not understand our language and just see the movements you're doing in the human interactions you're having, like, it may not be that you're not doing what you would have. Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry, what I'm saying.
No, keep it coming.
Yeah, we're going through. So it's like, so what I'm saying is like, you were as expanded as you could be for like that like muscle movement or whatever.
I was.
And I even think about that with running, because people were so mad, especially like the Greeks were really frustrated that I was pursuing the arts after Rio, because I had run 4 10Ks in my life, which is like, that's like people have run 10Ks for when they're like 19.
Of course.
So I've barely run the event and very undertapped. And I was like, I'm going to go make Olympic dreams and do this movie, do whatever I did for the last.
They were like, you're just beginning. What are you talking about? We're counting on you.
And they're angry because because anyone would, because it's a gift. And if you're good at something that other people want to be good at, you need to do it. And
right.
Because what I'm trying to think about is like, if we didn't get that, if someone didn't cross our path in that moment, how can we still learn from this?
Yeah.
And I think what we can learn is that we need to follow where we're expanding and where like the waters are really open and wide, even if it feels like our whole life led to a different body of water.
100%.
And then to not even assume that those don't come back together in some other form. Like in your art is very thoughtful. It's bringing people to ask similar questions that you might ask an individual.
Sure.
In your art, who knows?
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm like, perhaps people, I mean, I don't know. I was just like, what if they don't, how do we slow ourselves down and make sure we like intersect ourselves?
That's the thing is, nobody's knocking on your door and begging you to write an original screenplay. Nobody's knocking on your door and begging you to switch tracks and break the Greek marathon record. These things that come to us and these desires or these like messages that we get, I think they come from somewhere else. And I think that if we don't slow down and tune in and allow them to come to us, they don't come to us, because nobody in capitalistic oligarchy America right now is begging you to go have a 2-hour conversation about what it means to be alive and what is important, So I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, for me at least, which is just like taking the time to tune in and taking the time to really listen to like what is calling you, because that's all we really have, I mean, otherwise we're just kind of like a hamster on a wheel, I mean, I struggle with it all the time. I mean, even with like movies, sometimes it's your dream and then you 4 or 5 months in and you're just like, I'm just cranking so hard. This movie hurts my brain, And so I think it's just important to constantly re-up and think about who we are, what we're doing, what we uniquely have to offer and what makes us feel good about what we're doing. It's not a popular way to be. It's not a capitalistic way to be, but it's like the way to be that, makes us feel like we want to be alive and are enjoying the life that we have.
Yeah. And maybe that you sign up every day for what you're doing, because I was trying to think of what the enemy of this approach is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the enemies must be the trying to answer why.
Yeah.
Because the why feels like a really loaded thing, and you might not know why you want to pursue filmmaking.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of why to keep on the path you were on, because you were on it already and whatever.
Yeah, what are the enemies of doing this? I mean, I think just everyday life getting in the way is like, somebody was saying just the process of answering all the emails that from your kid's school is a full-time job. You know what I mean?
I have no idea about that.
It's totally insane. I mean,
what are they asking you?
They're constantly asking you for feedback. They want you to volunteer. They want you to weigh in on this. They want you to, there's so many.
I had no idea.
It's totally insane. But, there's so many outside forces that are trying to compete for your attention.
Right, your attention. That's a big one, right?
Things are competing for your attention. And so, and they don't have your best interests in mind always. They rarely do,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is competing for your attention and it very rarely has your best interests in mind,
People need to know they're trying to sell you things.
Yeah.
I was like, does anyone know that? I mean, everyone knows it, but does anyone remind themselves every day this is somebody else's?
Yeah. I mean, how many times are you watching an Instagram video and they're like, do these 3 things. And also number 4, buy these vitamins. Right? They're always selling a proprietary vitamin. You're like, God damn it. That's what this whole goddamn post is about, is these freaking vitamins. You're not going to do the other things. And there's a whole algorithm to it, because the other things involve like weeks and weeks of like, you know, fitness regimen and good habits and stuff like that. Or you could drop $24.99 on these vitamins. And then that's what people are doing. They're dropping $24.99 on the vitamins.
Because they want a shortcut.
They want a shortcut to it. And they're happy to sell it to you.
Yeah, don't give me.
I got a lot of unused vitamins in my house. I'm gonna cop to it. I'm not ripping on people who buy vitamins. I'm the guy buying the vitamins.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. But you're aware that you've been tricked.
Yes.
You've been tricked.
Yes.
So, I mean, I was like, do not go down the tangent about Instagram right now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
So many. Yeah, it's a whole other thing. Hello, Mentor Buffet listeners. This is your host, Alexi, and I'm inviting you to go to voicingchange.media/mentor buffet and fill out a form to help me understand what kinds of guests you want to hear from. We know the show is about mentorship, and I'm super curious. Who do you want to learn from? Who are you curious about? So go to voicingchange.media/mentor buffet and please take 2 minutes to help me better improve your experience with my show. I'm so excited to keep this show going, interview guests, learn from them, and help you learn too. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that you were intercepted.
Me too.
And I mean, you know, a few minutes prior, you said this thing where you were like, I'm always asking myself, what is the world? Did you say, what is the world wanting?
Want of me.
Want of me.
Yeah.
Because there's something, I've never heard anyone say that. It's really cool. And can you just, what is that?
I think it's just a way of being in service. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but I did grow up very Catholic and very like Dorothy Day Catholic Workers Social Union type, you know, where you actually do the work. You go work at soup kitchens and stuff like that. And, you know, just being in service of other people is kind of like how I grew up. And I do know that like when I'm experiencing a lot of angst and when I'm depressed or whatever, it's usually because I'm on myself too much. I'm thinking about myself too much. And, you know, it's even unfolded in terms of like my filmmaking career is like what moves me the most. I've never written a story for me to star in, even though I accidentally became an actor when I was 40. But you know, I'm really interested in like serving other people's stories and honestly like being in communication with my audience even before the movie comes out, because ultimately a movie is like a communication with somebody in a dark room 2 years down the road that you're never going to meet, you know? So it's really about what you can offer them. And in general, I just try to think about my life in terms of service in general, just because it just works out better.
Yeah,
it just
good.
works out better. It's just you're not totally obsessed with yourself and your needs and whether you're getting what you deserve and stuff like that. And I think that's when you're in that mindset, all these incredible gifts come to you because people feel that you're out there to do good and they want to return that favor, and the universe does return it, you know? So I generally tend to think about, you know, life and my decisions and everything in terms of, you know, what does the world want of me? What does God want of me? What does the universe want of me? What do my 2 little dogs want of me? You know, because I think that's what we're here to do. We're a social species and we're here to, you know, exalt each other as much as possible and to love and be loved. I mean, that's basically all we're really doing here. And, you know, I think our personalities and preferences just come with the style that how we're going to do it. You know, you run and make movies, you know, it's a cool expression.
Yeah. How do you receive those? Like, how do you know what it wants you to do?
That's like prayer and meditation.
Okay.
That's like the most direct for me, at least. It's like, I mean, when I'm really having a hard time, I'll just get in my journal. I'll just be like, God, what do you want me to do?
Okay. And then you'll just keep writing.
And then the answers will just come.
Oh, that's really beautiful. That's awesome.
Then, you know, meditating, you kind of clean out all the trash. You know, if you meditate, you just kind of like, you have all these worries and they die down, and you have all these voices and they die down. And then you're just like, okay, I mean, I think one of the great things about meditating is, you kind of just realize like, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to do anything at all to be worthy and to be valid. And although I feel besieged by whatever may be happening at the time, whether it's like drama or bed bugs or, whatever is happening to you at the time, it's just like, you know what? I don't actually need to do anything at all. That's like my main takeaway of like the value of meditation, which I don't know if is helpful to people, but I think meditation has had a bad PR campaign, you know what I mean? Because it's a hard thing to do and people shouldn't expect it to feel great. It's like, it's hard work where you feel good afterwards, kind of like running. I mean, running is fun too at times, and meditating can be at times, but a lot of times running is just like, just, going through the eye of a needle in a way that's just like, I don't think I can get through this eye of this needle. And then all of a sudden you're through the eye of the needle and you're like, wow, I went through an eye of a needle. Okay. What's next? So I do think meditation is super helpful in just helping us like come back to like what we are, which is just like just fleshy things on earth, just breathing and just having an experience. And we don't need to accomplish a goddamn thing to be here.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, you're talking to one of the biggest workaholics in the world, so take it with a grain of salt. I mean,
Yeah, you are.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's easier to say it here than to do it on a Tuesday afternoon when you're like, God, I want this movie to be great.
Do the meditation?
Yeah, to do the meditation and to live the message of what I'm telling you right now. This is just to say that like I can think it, but I don't always live it. I have my own moments where I'm like, if this movie isn't great, then I suck,
Yeah. My thought was like, yeah, but if meditation has a performance effect for you, then wouldn't you do it? And wouldn't you be able to believe? Do you know what I mean? Like if you are an overachiever or you are a workaholic and you think this is helpful to you, wouldn't that make it easier to do it?
It does. It does make it easier, but it's still like an original thought or like a creative idea. Nobody's begging me to come meditate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like the throng of the world is like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And if I take 20 minutes to do nothing, I'm just like 20 minutes more back towards the back of the line. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It's definitely like something that I feel like I have to fight for, is like, really kind of like push myself into it.
That's so interesting because as an athlete, I don't always want to relate things to athletics, but all I think about is like I used to call like my naps meetings because people were like trying to schedule all this stuff, but I had to nap. So I'd be like, I have a meeting.
Dude.
With my bed.
I love it.
And so I feel like if
an absolutely critical, life depending meeting. Yes.
It's from 12 to 1 or 1:30.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, because I think I have the same sort of like, I need to understand how this is like fits into like a good life or something. And so, but if it fit in that category and I had to protect it, I would just figure out what to call it so that other people left me alone.
That's great.
And so that I like believed in it and carved it out. Cause a lot of this is just like people's, like, their association with these things isn't productive. So they don't give it to you.
David Lynch had that thing where he would meditate every day on set at lunch, because, when you're making a film, it's usually a 12 or 13 hour day. It's really 2 days of worth of work. It's like 6 hours, 7 hours in the morning, 6 hours in the afternoon. And like, I figured out early on, like I can't do 13 hours in a row for 2 months in a row. I just can't. I don't have that kind of constitution. I need to sleep. It's what I need or whatever. And I was like, just started napping every day during lunch. And I was like, so embarrassed to tell people. They'd be like, well, let's have a meeting at lunch. And I was like, no, I can't. I need to nap. And then like, I heard him say like, he has people find a quiet room in a house where he can meditate every day at lunch. And I was like, I could just say I'm meditating like David Lynch.
That's really good.
Code for napping
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like I'm meditating like David Lynch does. But
Yeah. And then they really won't bother you.
no, they'll be like, oh, this is really important to the movie. I mean, which it is.
Because on prestige level, meditating is above napping
100%.
in terms of
Napping's for lazy people. That's the subconscious belief, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, I had so many misgivings about that stuff. I mean, I am a super specific person. I nap a lot.
Me too.
I don't socialize a lot. I really like guard my energy and my creative time very carefully. Like I'm like, and most people don't do that. Most people have a day job, and so they don't understand what that is.
Yeah.
And if I have a creative spark, I have to be able to have the time and energy to do it. And it took me like a long time to own that stuff, and to not feel like people were judging me. And that's the negative side of growing up in like a Catholic culture is like, boy, there's a lot of guilt being bandied about and a lot of judgment being bandied about how you do things. But there was a certain point, maybe about 10 years ago, where, I was hiding the fact that I was napping a lot and I just didn't want to socialize. And like one of my best friends, Gabby, she always says, I don't do drinks. I don't know who all you people are who are doing drinks. I don't do them. If you want to hang out with me, I'll be at my house making dinner for my kids and getting them ready for bed. And if you want to be in the living room when that happens, we can do our drinks then. Yeah. But she's like, who's got time for drinks, you know? And I've always felt that way. And, the other thing that was happening in my life is people were saying, no one was actually judging me for napping or not socializing, although they would be, upset if I didn't want to hang out too much. But the one thing that they did say is they were like, how do you get all this done? How are you making all these movies? How are you married and you have kids? How are you being a good dad? And how are you like running every day and doing all this stuff? And about 10 years ago, I finally started to just like own the fact that like, I actually know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Like you want to know how I get stuff done? Is I nap and I don't socialize. I don't, I don't fart around on the internet that much. I just don't. I really guard my energy and I really am super conscientious and careful about how I run my day. It drives my family nuts sometimes, but it's how I curate myself and my experience. And the world is a very distracting place and it's constantly throwing stuff in your face that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that is not good for you. And so the older I get, I just feel like you have to be a fucking warrior to live your own damn destiny. Otherwise, so Mark Zuckerberg is going to have his way with you.
That's so true.
The whole way through, know, and American capitalism is going to, I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying like it's in our face, and there's never enough money. There's never enough stuff. There's never enough all this stuff. But, I don't know. I've definitely feared a lot of judgment like growing up, but I've come to accept the fact that like I am who I am. I am peculiar in my habits, and that's okay. And I think everybody else is too.
They all are. I was just gonna say, I think that the people who actually honor it are ending up to be called peculiar.
Yeah.
Or I think it's also why I just realized, I think it's why I've leaned more into like being a jock again. Because like when I moved to LA, I was like, no, I'm an artist and I run for fun. And now I'm like, no, I'm a jock, because it makes all of my eccentricities accepted.
Yes.
Because everyone's like, she's an athlete. She must have to eat 2 lunches, or she has to like everyone respects it.
100%.
So like I get a pass for like all the things I would probably do anyway.
That's what we want, is a pass to be ourselves. God damn. Why is it so hard to ask for?
Yes. There was a German girl on my Oregon team that, we won national, like very good athlete.
Yeah.
And she secretly told me that, this is Anne, I love her. She had all these habits and everyone would be like, it's because she's German. It's because she's German. But she was like, none of these things are German. No. But she said it's her superpower because people were like, it must be because she's German.
I'm German.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like this superpower she had. And I was like, that's rad. So we all just need like a everybody wants permission to not be judged for the things they need to be doing.
100%. So we have to lead. That's the thing.
Yeah, we need to
We
lead.
have to be like, why am I not coming? Because I'm gonna need a 2.5 hour nap.
Yeah.
That's literally what's coming up. And I'm just sorry, but like I won't be able to open my eyes if I'm there. That's
I'm gonna go close my eyes and go into a dream state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to wear, because I was wondering, like, is it bad for us if we're using like the word I have a meeting instead of a nap? Like, are we self-shaming? Am I carrying weight for this? Like, is it bad? Is there something wrong with not telling the full truth for us? I'm just saying, should we switch to telling the truth because it'll help other people, but also is it bad for us to
I think
hide
it's
it?
bad for us to live in the closet, the napping closet that we live in. I think in general,
it's
but
bad.
I do think there are probably some occasions where somebody's going to judge you and you kind of know it. And like, they don't need to know your private affairs from 12 to 1 or 1:30 p.m.
That's right. That's the difference between like being, knowing who can handle who. Yeah. I was like, don't go down the tangent of personality versus true self, because it's a whole thing but it's sometimes not worth it to tell someone.
Yeah, I don't think everybody needs to know. It's on a need to know basis. But I do think it's cool to just be like, yeah, I'm going to be taking a nap.
It is cool.
I think it's also cool for you to say, I'm not booking anything from 12 to 1:30, so that even if you only sleep 1 hour, you have that extra half hour padding just in case it needed to be a 90.
Yes.
A full 90.
Yeah, which sometimes it does. And
solving the world's problems. That's what we're here to do.
Right. We're here to mentor you people and tell you it's okay to nap. People, Promorph is here from Meryl. And you know what's exciting about the Promorph? I am a girl that likes to run on multiple surfaces. I like track, I like roads, I like grass, I like dirt, I like going from road to dirt, I like not knowing where I'm going and finding my way. And these are the shoes that I bring with me because these can go on every surface. Pavement, dirt, gravel, grass, rock. Where else do you run? Stairs? And when I switch surfaces, the Promorphs have my back and they will have yours too. They're comfortable. They have Float Pro technology. They have this sort of grip on the bottom that really does go from surface to surface. The other day, I went out my door, as I often do, up the road to the dirt, eventually ended up raining a little bit, was still fine in the Promorph, and looked good doing it, okay? These things are fast also. When I went on the track, I ran my fastest 800 that I've run in a very long time. So look out for me on a start line in my Promorphs very soon. Promorph by Meryl. And for a limited time, this is actually a really big deal. You can get 25% off the Promorph. That's really, really awesome. Using the code MentorBuffet25. You gotta do it, people. Like, these are awesome. They're probably gonna sell out. Who knows? I'm probably gonna win some races in them. I don't know. We could match. So can you tell me a little bit more? Because like we both have this like wonderful connection to Rick. I'm so curious. Like I have my reasons for looking up to him. Can you share a little bit more about what you, besides like the scrappiness, or maybe it was just that, but like these filmmakers that you were looking up to, what was it about them? Was it?
I mean, honestly, for Rick, it was just me going to the University of Texas in 1991 when he had Slacker in the Midnight Theater, and knowing that movie was made for $20,000 and seeing him walking around town in jeans and a t-shirt.
You'd see him.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's the filmmaker who made that. And he'd be in coffee shops that I was in talking about movies with his friends. He wasn't talking to me because he was, he was like a grown man who was like accomplished and stuff. But he was just like, and it was just luck that it was Rick Linklater, because as we know, he's an incredibly special person. He's like a national treasure. Nobody's made such different and varied and, adventurous films. He's like maintained his independent spirit while making studio films, and he works with famous people and he makes tiny films still. He does it all. He does anything he wants to do. And he's just a wonderful person. So that part was luck. But yeah, just arriving and, him being like the most important DIY filmmaker of the 1990s by far, which is when I came of age as a filmmaker. So, at first it was just like, he would come to our film classes when I finally got into the film school there. And he would tell us things that I still use today, which is like, I could have made Before Sunrise for $10 million with all these people and these stars and this stuff, or I was able to make it, with the people he made it with on a small budget for like $2.5 million and control it. And then it had way more success because it probably didn't make a lot more than 10 million in the movie theater back in the day. But, he made his money back and made enough to make the next film and for him to control it. Because when he made it for $2.5 million, he was able to control, the creative side of it much more than if someone had given him a $10 million movie at that early stage in his career, right?
So maybe you were able to learn from him what was to know what's important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to be true to yourself. And, it's almost like an unrealistic philosophy nowadays. It's not, but it's just like, just make your art. Just make your art and let it unfold the way that it needs to. Some people are going to make art and they're going to need day jobs. That's just what it is. And it's not really up to you. You just need to make your art. And sometimes your art is mainstream and sometimes it's not. Sometimes some people, all their art is mainstream and some people are just never mainstream, and it's just not meant to be that way. And I don't think people should try to be forcing themselves into, the box of, I need to make money off of exactly what I do. I mean, I'm in a weird place now where I'm coming back to writing and directing, and I'm kind of realizing I'm coming back to writing and directing movies, which I don't know if anybody's noticed, but independent films are kind of like off Broadway now, And what I've realized is like, oh, I can't, even if I made a movie a year, which would be an insane pace, I can't make enough money directing movies to support my family and support my kids and whatever I want to do. So like, I'm lucky enough to where I accidentally became an actor and I can make money acting and I can lose money writing and directing films. But I'd have to be in probably like the top, there's probably only 10 or 20 filmmakers alive who are making original films right now and making a living off of just doing that.
Thank you for saying that, because when I went to my first Sundance labs, I was like, and went to Sundance, I was like, all these people are making a living with the movies I'm seeing here. And no one was like, that's not true.
That's not true.
Nobody said it.
No, because nobody wants to admit it. No one wants to, and no one wants to, they feel like if they say it, that it validates the fact that they're not like a big time filmmaker.
Yeah, but it really is so like, it just would be nice if people were a little more honest so that at least you didn't feel ashamed of of making money somehow. I feel like there's a shame of people working. I feel like there's a shame of working or something. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with working and making money, however you're making money.
However you're making money. The other thing too is like, I have a lot of friends who work day jobs and they make movies nights and weekends or summers, for instance, if you're a teacher or whatever, and they have great lives because also like they actually live life and then they have stories to actually reflect, like for those of us who are just like in the industry all day, every day, it's just like, it's a bit of a different kind of a grind, So, that's the thing that I always try and tell people coming up is get out of your head about what you think it's going to be or what you think you need it to be. I mean, there are just so many ways to do this. And ultimately, you either love doing it or you don't love doing it, and there are a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with this, but there are a lot of people who say they want to be filmmakers, but they never do the work. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of fear and it's expensive and whatever. But I think a lot of it also is a lot of people want to have made movies and they want to have gotten the trophies at the film festivals and they want to have the accolades and they want to know actors and stuff. But like, as you and I know, writing and directing a film ain't for sissies. It is something that will challenge you to your core on a daily basis when you're on set. Like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I spending all this money? Is this important enough? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it is like it's an existential crisis every day. And it's not an exaggeration. I'm not trying to say it's like we're amazing because we do it. I'm just saying it is like, it's a big awakening. The way that I can empirically demonstrate it is I would like to invoke all the actors in the world who have said their whole careers that they want to direct. And how many times have actors directed a movie and they got one movie in and they were like, never fucking again? I would argue 99% of them. Now, there's some actors who like switch and they're just like, oh, I'm sold. I'm never going back. But usually, and I have acted for some of these actors who became directors, their jaws drop open because they think they've been on set and maybe they were number one on the call sheet. And they're like, I'm on set all the time. This is probably just like 50% more work. Wrong. 20 times the amount of work as being a lead actor in a film. At least 20 times the amount of work. And they're just so, they're staggered by the amount of work that it takes. So this is all just to say that like everyone thinks they want to be a director. It's a very specific personality type that directs and then directs again. That's right.
And the rest of them are like my dad, who ran one marathon in 1998, the Napa Valley Marathon, and he still calls it his first marathon.
Yeah, that's got to be the same with marathoners. A lot of people probably run one.
I was 8, and my dad still is like, yeah, man, that was my first marathon. I'm like, Dad, you're not running another marathon, but you can call it that, I guess.
Dad, you're using a walker, okay? You're not running another marathon right now.
But I'm thinking about these actors as like their directorial debut. Could be their debut forever.
Yes, exactly. You know their debut.
Their debut. Their first film and his first marathon. It's adorable. Yeah. But
the thing is if you want to make movies, you're going to make movies.
That's,
and I think that's, it's not 100% true because you really have to like be the master of your own domain to like carve out the space and the time to write and then raise money and then direct a movie, especially if you're going to come into it. And so there's a lot of like pragmatic stuff that could get in the way. There's executive functioning that could get in the way. There's fear that could get in the way. But ultimately, if that's what you need to be doing, that's what you're going to do.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about film, because sometimes I feel like you and I have these fun talks between television and film, but you can make a film inevitable. And that is something that's beautiful about indie film.
It really is.
You really can will a movie in some form. And
you can make a $10,000 movie. That is very realistic amount of money. And I think most people can come up with $10,000 in the scope of a few years.
Yeah. Which means that you can do it if you really want it. Or if you're,
and that's new. I mean, like that's beautiful. That's a democratizing process, and that's why we have so many new voices and people of color and women directing films, is because it's become democratized, and it's not like this weird like pipeline of like the vicars have decided that you are now allowed to contact a couple of famous people, and that, you know what I mean? It's like now everybody can do it, so that's exciting. But it's
a whole other.
TV is you need to be anointed.
Yes, you do need to be anointed, but that excites me in the athletic way, which we talked about.
It's a very competitive world. and you're good at competing.
Yeah, I'm good at competing, I guess.
Yeah.
Just they're really chill. But anyway, we don't have to get into that. But okay, tell me about are there any other mentors that come to mind immediately? Yeah. Jump.
The other mentor that comes to mind, it's just two people basically that have really impacted me. And similar to Camille Buckner, a pivot point in my life. So I was writing and directing films very consistently from 2005 to like 2012. I made like 6 feature films with my brother, and I wanted to be the Coen Brothers 2.0 with my brother. Towards the end of that period, my brother became a famous actor and was getting really, really busy, and it was very, very hard for us to get a movie off the ground because, when you decide to make a movie, you have to obey the movie, and he was always busy and we couldn't get anything going. And I was really languishing at the time, and I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. I didn't know if Mark really wanted to make movies anymore as a writer director. That's all I wanted to do. We were tied as in the DGA. We were linked as co-directors. It was like a whole
I didn't know they did that.
political ordeal. Yeah, it's a big
Wow.
ordeal, and I felt lost, and I just felt like, oh, I don't even know if I can make a movie without Mark. And I was at a party for directors, and Joey Soloway, the creator of Transparent, was there, and they were saying at the time that they were going to do a TV show on Amazon. And I was like, well, how do you do a show on Amazon? Because at that time, Amazon was the place where we bought our toilet paper. That was basically what it was known for. And then you were buying some extra stuff. But this is like maybe 2013, 2014.
Mhm.
They said, I have the whole family, but I need the son, and I need to cast this person. And they were like, I need like a wildly charismatic, also wildly insecure, late 30s Jewish guy. And I was like, well, they're all my friends. And I just started trying to help
Yeah.
Joey cast that part, and that nothing was right, and they stopped and they said, it's you. You're Josh Pfefferman. And I said, no, I'm not an actor. I am a director. And I was literally developing my first TV show for HBO at the time. And I was like, I'm super busy, and the studio's not going to accept me as an actor. And they were like, they're not even a studio. They're the place you buy your toilet paper. They'll do what I say. They said, why don't you do me this favor? Why don't you come and read with your sisters that would be in this family? And we'll just see what it's like. And I went and I did a reading, and the reading was in front of people at Amazon. And it was like a network test. I didn't even know what it was. It was an amazing moment where lightning struck, and I connected with my sisters, who are essentially my sisters in real life, Gabby Hoffman and Amy Landecker. We still hang out all the time and, take care of each other. And they offered me the part in this show. And I was like, I should do it just because it's an incredible life experience. But they were calling it a web show at the time. And then, 6 months or 9 months later, we won the Golden Globe for the best show. And my life totally changed. And I, started acting. So that person changed my life, like, just tremendously, and saw something inside of me that I didn't see inside of myself. But beyond that pivot point, also just the culture that Joey Soloway set up with Transparent, this culture of like essentially doing like a prayer circle before a set every day, and people being able to share whatever's going on with them that day, and bringing humanity into the warlike environment of being on set, being in production. It feels like war sometimes, especially because, everyone's aware that like every minute costs $10,000. It's so obscene. Like, when you're on like a $10 million movie or whatever, it's so expensive. Everybody's freaking out and everybody's trying to hide it. And they really brought presence into film set experience. And they used to say all the time, we got nothing but money and time. We got nothing but money and time. And prior to then, all you ever heard was time and money is ticking. Time and money is ticking. We're running out of money. We're running out of time. We're running out of money. We're running out of light. And they would constantly come forth with this like feeling and this sentiment of abundance, I guess. Yeah. And even when the sun was going down and we were running out of time and light and money, they would be like, we got nothing but time and money and light. And it just calmed everybody down. And it put you in this position where you'd get it on the first or second take a lot of times, just because like the feeling was abundant. The feeling was there's no wrong moves. The feeling is like a feeling of like humanity, and we're going to do this once and it's going to be great, and it sort of like creates itself in a way.
Yeah.
And so like I've been like profoundly influenced by their methodology. And I would say mainly the methodology is like, even when you're terrified and it feels like it's failing and it feels like it's impossible, even when it feels like someone's pushing you off a cliff and there's just jagged rocks down there, is just like, when you get to that cliff, you swan dive and you absolutely assume that there is warm turquoise water down there ready to catch you, you know. And the practice of embodying that creates that very thing.
Yeah, that is like so, it's like a composure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it kind of defies that like a second is a second, which
Yes,
we all sort of know.
we know
that it's not.
it's not.
But when it comes down to it, it can feel like a second is less than a second.
100%. Yeah.
And so this environment is extending it against its, norm. And when I remember when I watched that show, it was the same. I've only had a couple moments like this. One was like when I read a Sarah Rule play, and I was like in college, and I was like, oh, this is what theater can be.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like you read Eurydice after you've like been in playwriting class at Dartmouth, and you're like, this is the same. Oh, it's different. This is what it can be.
Yeah.
And I think when I watched Transparent, I was like, I was struck.
Yeah.
Like you could feel it, right? And of course, your experience must have been 10, 100 times that, but you can just feel it. And it changed it changed me to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to know that it was like more than the writing. It was like the energy of it.
And, they were channeling what the world wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What we were talking about before. They were channeling, that perfect collaboration of like, Soloway's parent had just transitioned. It was causing all kinds of upheaval in their life and the life of their family, but also all this beauty and all this renewal and all this truth, right? And it was butting up against the world being like, wait, what is a trans person?
Right.
I've heard of trannies before. That's not what they're saying. What is this? And then just this moment in the world where, people were ready to receive, this new way of being and this whole, really the whole, idea of like gender being fluid.
Yeah. Wow. What an experience to step into. And also, like, just to go back a second to you, I feel so comforted by like listening to your experiences of basically like living by these principles in your life of like service and presence, and like also like do the art that is coming to you despite like how mainstream it is. It's basically like honor yourself and do good. I don't know. There's the way you carry yourself, but then to know that like the best things in your life sort of came in the space that you left that was around you because you were being that way, instead of like going after these dreams. And, I think a lot of people are like, there's a chunk of your life where you have enough credentials to go chase big dreams.
Yeah.
But you would like to understand that there are people who live in the world where it's not all about going and grabbing the big things. It's about being present for what is coming to you and doing the best you can, but also like leaving space for the universe that, like, it's like you get into a galaxy that has really good things because you've entered that galaxy. And this is very comforting for me to hear, because I think I'm like in that stage of like, I'm very qualified to go like by myself and go build a little house by my, you know what I mean? And like, and I want to kind of do that, but I also like really want to hear stories from people. And and like from you of like, there's a lot out there if you just are present that you just don't know. And so just stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Right? Stay tuned, stay present. Like if your days are feeling like you like them, that's a good indication.
I think so. I think making good days is like the thing. Is like the thing.
And then just be kind and present. And in that interaction, you were trying to help people. You were trying to help them figure out who they were going to cast. And then you got cast because you were yourself.
Truly. Yeah, I was truly just, and I was fighting them tooth and nail. I'm like, I'm not an actor. I'm not your guy. Well, that's not what it is.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's a really, really cool story. Thank you for telling me. Oh my
course.
gosh. Yeah, it's cool. You are like a many way pioneer. Like, because,
Many
you
way.
know, in many ways, you're a pioneer in many things.
Yeah.
Well, because like, I feel like people are like, you're like one of the princes of Sunday. You know what I mean? There's like the young, like
Yeah,
there's like
yeah.
a time and, you know, but there's a lot of things that you've done that no one, that like you've really pioneered. It's just so cool. It's just really cool. Like your life keeps going. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like really, really cool, important new work. Because talk about someone like Rick, like when I spend time with him, he's like, man, it is kind of odd sometimes for him, I think, to interact with like because I know you mentor like people like Cooper and these younger filmmakers, but for him, it's like, it's a different world than he came up in. And so for him to give advice, it's like, he has a lot to say and to give, but he also can't relate necessarily to this chapter of the art.
It's so different from when he came up.
Yeah, and you're somewhere, you're kind of in between where like, I think you can appreciate, I mean, I think you sort of pioneered what it is today, basically, but you're able to appreciate it all. Anyway, I'm just observing that.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting because I feel, even though I came along 10 years after Rick did, I feel much closer to the younger filmmakers nowadays because I did do it all independently. I mean, like on a digital camera that I owned, you know what I mean? And I edited my movies on my own laptop. Like Rick was still working with the formalities of the old system and shooting film and, you know, having these crew members involved and stuff. And I was just, you know, very much making it homemade.
Yeah,
you know?
You're basically Gen Z.
Kind of, because I'm still doing it. You know? I just made a movie called The Baltimoreans, and it's like went back to my roots. I mean, it wasn't just me, but like it was 15 people, you know, making a movie in Baltimore, running around like idiots in the middle of the night, you know, in Baltimore during Christmas. So
that's sick. I can't wait.
It's fun. Yeah.
You're one of my mentors, like truly. But I think you're intentional about it. I think there's some amazing young filmmakers who look up to you and have this interaction with you. So I was wondering if you were cool talking about it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one thing that's super cool about doing this podcast today is my longest running mentee, this guy named Jeff Mann, who was my assistant for like 12 years. And I was mentoring him the whole time that he was, you know, he was my assistant through my early movies and Togetherness, the TV show. He just is releasing his first feature film called Paper Marriage that's like going to be out September 16th. And it's a real sweetheart of a movie. And it's just, so it's like such a cool moment for me to see like all this time. I produced it for him, but you know, it was just like such a sweet, it's a really great little movie, and that's coming out. But yeah, I've definitely, the way that I've mentored people is just like, you know, just listening to people and what they want and what they're trying to do. And, you know, sometimes things call me very intensely, and sometimes it's just like a little thought, you know, is just, but I can see some things clearly that like up and comers can't see, you know, and I can offer little things to just self-correct the path.
Like what?
I mean, like with Cooper Raiff, his first movie, you know, he had made essentially a home movie of him and his actual girlfriend about like what their relationship was like coming together early in college when he was like left his very close-knit family and was like, why did I leave my family? I'm here all alone in this stupid college campus and everybody's just getting drunk, you know? And then he met his girlfriend and he was like, okay, there's meaning here. And, you know, but there were challenges, obviously. So, you know, he was like, I want to make this into a big movie. And I was like, just make a tiny movie. Just make yourself a tiny little movie and get your arms around it and make your mistakes and have enough space and time to recover from those mistakes and fix them in the moment, you know, and don't have like, if you want to change your mind and shoot on the other side of the street, there's not like 4 semis parked over there that can't be moved because it wasn't permitted that way, you know. There's things like that, you know, just like in general, what I find myself doing is just trying to put young filmmakers at ease too, just because it's so stressful and it's terrifying and hopes and dreams are on the line. And I do find myself telling people to make stuff more and to make it more cheaply, just so that they can make mistakes and that they can recover from those mistakes. Because back in my day, in the early 90s, you would always see these kids like ramping up to make a feature film, and they would like raise $200,000 from everybody they knew, and they would shoot it on film. But they would usually have spent 2 or 3 years like trying to raise that money. And so they weren't practicing making movies. They were practicing being producers and, raising money, so you would see all these people like fail, because it's very hard to make a feature film come together. As you know, it's so easy for it to fall apart. I mean, I've had so many movies that I think are good now, but even 4 weeks before we locked picture, I was like, this movie barely works. I don't know if it works at all,
Yeah.
Honestly, it's what you said early in the podcast, is just creating space, just trying to like put people at ease, just be like, you're not going to die, because it feels like you're going to die when you're especially putting your story out there. And if it fails, then does that mean that you suck? Just really trying to, I'm probably a therapist for young filmmakers, is more than anything, which is just like, take your time, create space. It's not all going to live or die on this one film. And if it does going to live or die on this one film, don't make this film. Make this film later.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask, what would you say to the person, like when you say, if the film sucks, do you suck? But you're basically saying no.
No, the film sucks.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to make a shitty film. It's so easy to make a shitty film.
Oh.
That's the other thing, is that movies are such a part of pop culture that we kind of like, because we were all exposed to movies so much, we're just like, well, I'll either be a good filmmaker or I won't. Wrong. You'll either learn to be a good filmmaker or you won't.
Yeah, and it's like almost, the movie is not the identity.
It's not you.
Well, it's kind of like mental health. Like when people say like, you aren't depression, you have depression.
You have depression, yeah. You aren't a shitty movie. You made a shitty movie. And that's over now.
Yeah, and that's really like, that is a really, this is important because otherwise people are going to be so terrified to start, and to which you
paralysis,
said the only reason to have that is if this really is life or death, then like, wait. Yeah. Oh, that's so
Don't
great.
Be spending your family's life savings on your first movie. Like, don't do it, like there's so many ways to like practice art. I think it's the way that I think about it is like, if you were to be a painter and go to college for painting or whatever it is that you decided you're going to be a professional, oil painter or whatever, no one would expect to sell a painting for any decent amount of money until they've done about 500 paintings.
Right.
That's a normal thing. No writer thinks that they are going to sell the first thing that they write when they can literally first write words in first grade. Like you write papers and then you write this, and then you go to college and you write a million papers, you write short stories and whatever, over and over and over and over and over again, right? And then hopefully one day you can sell a book, Hopefully one day, look, maybe you sell your 30th painting to your mom's friend who's being nice and give you $50. You know what I mean? But otherwise, you're really thinking, I'm going to make 500, 1,000 paintings before I can legit expect a gallery to put my work up and start selling paintings for multiple thousands of dollars, where I could potentially get in the realm where like, okay, maybe I can make a living from this. But for some reason with movies, everybody thinks you're going to wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom and either a great movie's going to fall out or a terrible movie's going to fall out. And that decides whether you're a good filmmaker or not. And it's like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
There's so many skills you have to synthesize. You have to be a good writer. You have to, be a good director. You have to know shots. You have to know lighting. You have to know editing. You have to be able to work music into it. There's so many ways for it to go wrong. Also, you're managing like 40 personalities through the whole process, Like, it's a miracle if your first movie is great. And a lot of times when your first movie is great, it's luck. And then you got to go through a whole other system. There's so many people whose best movie is their first movie. And then there's even people like Soderbergh. His first movie is Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I think it's his best movie. I think he's also a great filmmaker, but he had a 7-year period where he made an independent film every year, and he was making what he thought independent films needed to be. And it turned out they weren't good. They were okay, but they weren't good. And then he was like, I guess I suck at this. I guess I can't do it. And then he decided to just make a fun movie called Out of Sight. And that movie just opened up a whole new world to him, So a lot of times people's first movie, if it's a hit, it's they're in for a rude awakening,
Yeah. There are no shortcuts.
No.
Right? To like
No.
Yeah.
And ultimately, all we're doing here is we're just making art. That's all we're doing. It's just I hope you like it. I don't know if I do anymore. You know what I mean?
This art project. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an art project. That's all it is. And it's cool that we can monetize it sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky that I can get paid usually to do what I like to do. But, it is weird. It's like I had a weird career where I was on that path where I was just making bigger and bigger films. And, like in 2010, I made a $10 million movie for Paramount Pictures. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. It's done. And then like my brother didn't really want to make movies anymore. And also it was kind of the same time as the collapse of the many major independent film creative studios. And what we didn't really know is that film was kind of like becoming not the dominant art form anymore, and you don't really know what's afoot or what forces are working against you. But like, I kind of let all those things stop me from making movies. There were a lot of things out there that were kind of stopping me from making movies. And, and now I'm like coming back 14 years later and I'm starting to make movies again. And it turns out that this isn't the time to support a whole family on writing and directing original films. And guess what? That's okay. I love it. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I feel lucky enough that my day job is acting. So,
Yeah. Sometimes like, I'm just like, I was walking through San Francisco and I was just like, because about my running, someone was like, so you're going to Mammoth like for fun, or like, is it your job to get in shape? All this. And I was like, no, like because I'm kind of I don't know what I'm me.
Yeah, you're you.
I don't have to like go run an Olympic standard. But
exactly.
There's some curiosity I have. There's something going on.
Yeah.
I feel very certain about the things I'm doing. It's like other people are having issue with it because it doesn't make sense to them.
Yeah, doesn't fit in the boxes that they have set up.
And I'm not even asking myself the questions that they're asking me.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for the firm answers on where is it going and whatever. And I was like running in Golden Gate Park and I was like, I am going to die. Like, I just want to be a rascal. Like I'm not hurting anybody. I'm able, yes, I'm still paying my bills. I'm still answering. I'm still doing the art. I'm still answering to every commitment I'm making. And I have time to do my writing in Mammoth. I'm going to go and run. And I was just like, why is everybody thinking so hard? Don't they know they're going to die? Why doesn't everybody try their best to do what they really want to do, even without, I don't know. I was just like freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like there was a lot of like eyes about this whole thing. I was like, I shouldn't have told anybody what I'm doing because I don't even want to do it to tell people about it.
Right.
I don't care if anybody knows.
Yeah.
Like they'll know if I win a race, but I don't really care. I don't care about what these. So it was like, I don't know what is going on because I'm in another phase of running, right? The first time you go for the Olympics, it's very obvious and clear and prestigious.
Absolutely.
And then whatever the hell I'm doing now with everything, also the art world, as you know, things take years. And so I can't really tell people everything I'm doing because a lot of it is not real yet.
Yeah. And they'll just annoy you with the questions and then be disappointed when it's still in the same phase of development. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't talk about a lot of what I do. So people don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Except like I could talk to you about it because you understand things.
Yeah. I understand the culture of it. But I think it's important to protect what you're doing, and people are on a need to know basis.
Yeah. But it's such a weird, it's almost like I understand that my existence is like making people a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are thrilled with it or whatever, but some people like,
why?
Yeah, or what? Or I don't know. I don't
Makes
know.
no sense.
But I'm not as self-conscious as I think people are on my behalf sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's also, I was thinking about that even with regards to like the bad movie thing, because I'm not going to trash anything I've done. I'm saying, even Janet said that my last movie was like a learning, it's my last movie with my ex. Like there was so much going on that nobody knows about.
Oh, 100%.
And it's great and fine.
It's just as much about that stuff as it is about a movie. Yeah.
It's your life that's going on, and you go through so much growth. No matter, like, there's so much about all these things that are awesome, but I think that there are some people in the world that are self-conscious on other people's behalf.
Yeah.
And there are some people who are not. And I find you to be one of my friends. I think this is why I really adore you, is like, I never feel like you're self-conscious for me more than I would be.
Oh.
And so I can tell you.
I'm not self-conscious for you at all. I think you're awesome, and what you're doing is super interesting.
But I still like have vulnerability. Like I can still come to you and be like, there's this like this huge fuck up that I'm dealing with, or like whatever it is.
Yeah, of course.
So like there's still, but you'll take my subjective experience and like embrace me, and then we can talk about it, as opposed to like an assignment and assigning it to me, unless I'm in danger,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, nobody wants anybody to get hurt. But no, that's not what we're talking about. It's like, when you were saying that, I was thinking like, yeah, you should tell people that you're participating in an unfolding spiritual experience that you're not entirely privy to yet.
That's as like, bad as telling someone I'm taking a nap, okay?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's akin to the nap comment.
I know.
It's just like, people want to know, just be like, yeah, I'm currently tuning into the messages, and the messages aren't complete yet, but I'm following the guidance of unseen forces.
It's unseen forces. All I know is that if I happen to get in shape, it's bad news for everybody else that I'm about to race. I don't know if I can or what the limits are. If I do.
Or if you're even supposed to.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to. If I do, like, I would not want to race me.
Yeah,
like, that's what I do know that. I know that. But I don't know if that is what it is.
Well, I think that's beautiful too, because I know that you have the ability, if you forced it, you would be in that shape. Yeah, but that's not your priority.
No.
Your priority is not to force maximum fitness.
No.
You've done that.
Yeah.
You've done that, and it's had wonderful results and terrible results all at the same time. And that's not your fate now. No. Your fate now is like the unfolding of a mystery. I mean, I really believe.
Oh, you really see me. You really do.
No,
you get it.
That's what it is. I think that's like a real artist's process, is like, mysticism is essentially the process of the artist, which is like, I receive messages, I receive nudges, I receive inclinations, I receive desires, I put them into play, I react with the world. I do not control the outcome. The outcome is a surprise.
Yes.
And a gift. Yeah. And my job is to figure out, what the world wants of me, and then see how it unfolds.
I did not understand me as you understand me. No, I mean it, because
nice.
No, because I think there's a part of me that could betray myself and say, like, if you're gonna run a race, then you need to go back to 100%. Doing what you did before.
Yeah, why are you gonna half-ass it? That's not what you're doing.
Yeah, and someone was even like, are you sandbagging? And I was like, I don't think I'm sandbagging.
No.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I'm sandbagging. I think I'm doing something. I think I'm exactly on that path.
I think you're cultivating creativity and joy.
Yeah, and I don't think that the ceiling is any lower because of it.
I don't either.
But it is a mystery.
Yeah.
And it does feel artistic a little bit, even though I feel like that word can be cheapened.
Yeah.
Because people look at me and they're like, woo, artist runner. And it's like, it's not that kind of art. No. I mean, like, really, I feel it's really art.
I agree. It's like the uncontrolled unfolding of like, unseen forces inside of you.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is this going to be?
Like, I keep cutting my hair closer and closer to Timothée Chalamet's hair. And like, I think it's like Keanu Reeves in like the early 2000s or something.
Yeah.
But like, there's decisions I'm making that feel very like and it's not for any, like it's coming from the right place. I feel very solid.
It's great. And I bet you it creates joy and confidence as you do it.
Yeah, it's like this weird, like there's alter ego in it, but it's also, it's not an ego that exists, because it's like Timothée Chalamet is not running 100 miles, but me as him, as me, as this, there's some crazy, it's so fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, sorry, we don't even have to go on this, but I've never felt like someone that really got me like you did, because I think people either put in the category of like, it's whatever you know what it could be thought of as.
Yeah, 100%.
This is so...
wackadoodle. That's what people think about what we're talking about right now a lot of times. But I think a lot of it does come down to like, people get disturbed by it because they're like, wait, you can still be sponsored and run a marathon and go for your own goal and have fun.
Yeah. And
wait. That's too many good things.
Yeah.
Because I'm working at Best Buy right now, and all I can do is be consumed with murdering my co-cashier, you know? And I have so much compassion for people who are in that situation, because, you know, you live with a certain level of compromise, and when people like allow themselves to unfold in a really authentic way, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people hate gay people and trans people. It's like, wait a minute, you can do that? I've been doing this bullshit this whole time, and you can just do that? You just wake up one day and do that? I think that's why. I think people are upset.
They are upset.
They're very upset, and I think they're jealous.
They're jealous because you're a living example that you can do that. Yeah,
you can live your truth. You can wear whatever the fuck you want. You can operate however you want, as long as you're not hurting people or abusing people.
Exactly.
Like, you know, you are, and you know, like, you're having a blast.
You're having a blast, and it means that it's everybody's responsibility to do that for themselves.
Yeah, and when you haven't been doing that for a couple of decades, you feel like you missed the boat. And, you know, but it's never too late. That's the beautiful part of it, is like, there is no past, there is no future. There's just today. And like, can you make a good day and bring joy into your life and into other people's lives, you know?
I adore you so much.
I adore you.
Yeah, I think this is our episode.
Yeah.
This is Jay. Thank you for coming on Mentor Buffet. That was like the coolest.
If you're enjoying Mentor Buffet, follow Voicing Change for more inspirational and truly life-affirming content from shows like Soul Boom, The Proof, Feel Better, Live More, and the Rich Roll podcast. Just go to voicingchange.media. That's voicingchange.media for a beautiful selection of productive and positive shows.